Pizza Tower. At first glance, this game looks like it has relatively little story. We're shown cutscenes
Yeah,
at the
it
beginning
is.
of the game that practically tell us everything that we need to know. It's the story of one man running around trying to save his struggling restaurant from an evil floating pizza that's threatening to blast his business with a laser. It is a thin plot
Pretty
that merely
much.
serves as an excuse to kick off the action. But oh no, friends, this game is so much deeper than that. Hidden in the background,
Are those
developers
axes?
have put a whole history here. A history
Oh,
of
Luke's
betrayal,
noise and
of
vigilante.
war, of cloning. And if you follow their clues, you'll see that our heroic chef may just have been the true villain.
Oh
from the
no,
very
don't
beginning.
do that crap, MadPat. You always do this crap. Why do you always do that
Hello,
bull
Internet.
crap?
Welcome.
Guys, I'm pausing it. First positive video. MadPat always says that I'm a villain. Now, everyone else thinks I'm a villain as well. Anyways, you better not pull up the whole, oh no, the hero's the who villain. And don't tell me Bowser is redeemable. Bowser is an evil monster. Alright, let me unpause it.
To game theory. Better evidence, better theories, game theory. I
Pretty
hope
cool.
you're hungry, loyal theorists, because today we're serving up a slice of piping hot lore courtesy of Pizza Tower, the intensely viral
Woohoo!
indie smash hit that released back in January. I might be a little late to the party on this one, huh? If I were the pizza delivery guy, this one would have to be free. Now, for those of you who weren't keeping up with it during its development, Pizza Tower is a frantic action platformer in the
Yeah, I already
style
know
of the
that.
Wario
That's-
franchise.
oh, that's
It's actually
cool.
one of a handful of Wario-likes that's been cropping up over the past few years, like Anton Blast and Treasure Techland. Basically, the game's developer McPig saw that Nintendo hadn't made a new Wario Land in over a decade and said, "Fine, I'll do it myself."
Mamma mia.
Absolute garbage. Anyway, 5
Yeah, see,
years and a whole lot of
yeah, it's not that
later,
bad.
the
I
game
agree
is
with
here,
that.
and the
That's not
response
that
has
bad.
been
I put the volume up a
overwhelmingly
little, so it's
positive,
good.
with Pizza Tower becoming one of the highest-rated Steam games of the year mere hours after its release. People immediately fell in love with its blistering fast gameplay, the Ren and Stimpy art
Yeah.
style, the absolute absurdity of these characters and their
Yeah,
world.
of course,
And of course,
nice.
like any good indie game, there's a heaping helping of hidden lore in the secret sauce. Lore that is very easy to overlook when the vast majority of the gameplay has you running through levels at
Pretty
absolute
much.
top speed. But let me tell you, not only is there lore in here, when you stop and pay attention to it, it
Oh,
actually turns
man,
everything that players have
Pepino's
assumed
into
about this game on its head. Our main character, Peppino, is much more than just a hapless pizzeria owner trying to save his struggling restaurant. He's a man who brought all of this on himself. And our
Oh,
actions
come
through
on.
the game are just perpetuating a continued cycle of abuse and violence.
Absolutely,
That's
I
right,
can
it is
see
a
that.
classic game theory. The hero
I don't
may
like
just
that.
have been the villain all along.
Of
Are you all
course,
ready to
hero's
get
the
funky?
villain.
Let's begin. For those of you who haven't played Pizza Tower yet, here's the
Always a
basic
villain.
plot. While lamenting his failed pizzeria, Peppino Spaghetti, yes, that is his real name,
Oh, yeah,
is visited
that's
by
his name.
Pizza Face, a sentient floating pizza that's threatening to destroy Peppino's with a laser cannon. So to save his business, the naturally anxious Peppino goes on a rampage, running down anyone who gets in his way as he
Jesus,
chases
said that.
Pizza Face to the top of the titular Pizza
Yeah,
Tower.
basically.
Peppino runs at mock speed, climbs walls like Spider-Man on caffeine, and
Oh,
beats the
no,
ever-loving
I actually
snot
never
out of any
think-
sentient
I never
food
actually
stuff
thought
that
of
just so
that.
happens to cross his path. Rest in peace there,
Oh,
Snotty.
no,
At the beat
Snotty,
stage,
no,
Peppino knocks
man,
down
don't make
Pillar
me
John,
cry.
a living stone slab that Pizza Face cloned repeatedly and then placed in each level to keep the portals of the tower open permanently. Knocking him down triggers a countdown sequence a la
Okay.
Wario Land 4, or a final Metroid-style escape, where Peppino
Eh,
must get back to the
yes,
beginning of the level as fast as possible before
I
Pizza Face
forgot his
catches
always
him.
a
As you climb through
Wario,
the tower, you
it's
go
like
through
Wario
dozens
game.
of wacky
How did I
places
forget
like
this
a city of
thing games
pigs,
like
a
Wario?
farm beset by aliens, a literal war zone, and an abandoned pizzeria.
Ah,
haunted by
Nights at
ghastly
Freddy's.
animatronics. Oh, come on! Get out!
I don't really
can't.
wanna play Five Nights at Freddy's,
can't.
though.
Is there no rest? God.
It's a
If
scary
Peppino
game, though.
manages
Maybe
to
I
reach
can
the top,
play
he's
Five Nights at
finally
Freddy's
able to
if you guys want me
confront
to.
Pizza Face, who, it's revealed, isn't actually a floating pizza monster, but rather some kind of mech secretly piloted by
Oh,
none
no.
other than Pizza Head. A guy with a pizza.
Oh, yeah,
for
spoilers,
a
by the
head.
way.
This game's naming conventions are pretty self-explanatory. Anyway, it's an odd reveal because this
Yeah,
is
I
a
just
character
posted
who's never shown up previously in the game and was never explicitly alluded to. As such, at first glance, it seems to be a twist villain just for the sake of having a twist villain.
Yeah, what's
and
wrong with
honestly,
having a
I'd be
twist
totally okay with that. This is a joke game where nothing is taken super
Oh,
seriously,
yes,
so having a
Nick.
floating pizza
It's a
head be
Sonic
replaced by an
Hedgehog
actual pizza
snake
man is
parody.
the sort of ridiculous twist that would make a lot of sense here.
Oh,
but we
yeah.
are theorists. When we see a surprise final boss appear without any clear build-up, that's the sort of thing that sets off all kinds of alarms.
Luigi
If you
for some
stop and
reason.
take a closer
I
look at
don't
our
reminds me
true
of
final
Luigi.
boss here, everything about Pizza Head is pretty weird. For the big boss of the game, he never seems to take the final fight seriously. He starts
Yeah,
the fight
kinda-
by
it's
handing
kinda-
Peppino a gun.
Actually,
he
yeah, it's kinda
accidentally
weird.
pulls out a dirty picture of himself.
Come
He
on,
shoots a
man,
machine
kid
gun at his own
friendly.
face instead of at Peppino. He is laughing the entire time. It's almost as if he's not trying to kill Peppino at all, just mess with him. If he wanted to kill Peppino, he could have just fired the laser at Peppino's pizza without
Oh,
warning
I never
instead
thought
of giving
about
him a
that.
chance to
Villains
stop
always
it.
do that
Except the
crap.
laser isn't
Villains
anywhere to be
always
found
do
when
that crap.
Peppino gets to the top of the tower, nor can I find it in any other level. The only explanation is that there was never a laser in the first place,
That's
and that
I
all
see
of this
that.
was a
There
trick
was
to
never a
lure
laser
Peppino
there.
to the tower for
Maybe
some
there was
greater
another
purpose.
laser
But
there.
why? Well, to understand that, we actually have to play through the game again. See, once you know to be on the lookout for Pizza Head, the signs are there from the very beginning of
Is
the
it
game.
the
Literally,
cutout to
the
Pizza
first
Boy?
enemy that you
Oh,
face in
yep,
the
I know.
tutorial is a cardboard cutout of Pizza Boy, a boy with the
Yep,
exact
I
same
knew it.
face as Pizza Head. Notice the blushing cheeks, the big red nose, and of course, the large slice of pizza as a face.
Oh,
That is
geez,
suspicious.
no
It would seem
wonder.
that Pizza Head might just be a grown-up version of Pizza Boy.
Yeah, I can
We see
see that.
later in the FNAF level
Pretty
that
good
Pizza
lore.
Boy is the main mascot for Pizza Boy Piz Pizza, and that's not the only place that he shows up.
That's cool.
World 4, the
Or
slum,
Riz
has a
Pizza.
Pizza Boy cutout
Get it?
crammed into a sewer
Pizza,
pipe.
Piz,
This then
and
leads to
Riz.
multiple cutouts that we can find littering the sewers
Alright, fine.
throughout the level, as if all of this Pizza Boy merch was suddenly discarded all at once. Later in the game, when visiting the Pig City, you can see wanted posters at the beginning of the level, as well as at
Wanted?
the beginning
Oh, yeah,
of the
I remember.
Vigilante's boss fight. Peppino is a wanted man with $1 million bounty on his head.
Ooh,
like
dang.
John Wick levels of bounty
Oh,
hanging
yeah,
over
it
him.
is.
What did he do?
I already
Later in the
read
Pig
that.
City level, Peppino gets arrested, and what do we find waiting for us in the cell? Lo and behold, another Pizza Boy cutout
Oh,
just
no.
waiting there,
Oh, no.
acting almost like a calling card. Is he the one behind all of this? Could it be that he's the one putting up
This
the
is a
wanted
cardboard
posters? And when
cutout.
Pig City eventually goes up in flames, graffiti of Pizza Boy's smiling face can be seen peeking out from between the buildings, like he's
That's
reveling in all
creepy.
this destruction. Finally, at the very end of the game, just as Peppino and friends are about to reach the exit of the crumbling tower, a horde of Pizza Boy cutouts appear in a last-ditch effort to slow them down, both bookending
yeah.
the cutouts from the beginning of the tutorial, as well as signaling that Pizza Boy himself is the thing trying to keep Peppino from escaping. Pizza Boy is always there. He is
Okie
always
dokie.
watching. He is always impeding Peppino's progress. He even reacts to how well you're doing in the game. When you first boot up the game, a Pizza
Oh,
Boy
yeah,
face is used to measure your
that
current
thing.
completion percentage. He begins happy when you're at 0%, but he starts getting sad when he sees that you've made some progress. Bit by bit, he gets angrier and angrier, quickly losing all resemblance to
Jeez.
Pizza Boy, and instead gaining the appearance
Doesn't
of
he
Pizza
turn into a
Head
skeleton at
instead.
the end?
If Pizza Boy were a
Which,
distinct
I think
entity,
it's
it wouldn't
probably
make
true
sense for him to be
because-
worked up by
Yeah,
Peppino's
doesn't he turn
success.
to a
But if he's
skeleton at
really
the end
Pizza
when he
Head,
gets
then
to
of course he's
100%?
getting mad, because you're getting closer.
Yeah, doesn't he turn to a skeleton at the end? Because I remember pulling an image. Yeah, there is. Because he killed him. So technically, by the end of the game, we would have to kill them by the end. So yeah, this connection actually kind of support this theory.
And closer to foiling his plot. Which then begs the question, what's the plot? All these clues
Oh,
seem
yeah,
to suggest
fair
that
enough. What
Pizza
is
Head
the
was
plot?
once the mascot and potential
already know
owner
the
of
plot.
Pizza Boy Piz Pizza, but we still don't know what beef he has with Peppino. If he's
Yeah,
just
fair.
going after some competing pizza chef, why target someone whose business is already
yeah,
in the tank?
smart.
Well,
Think-
Pizza Head
smart
himself
thinking,
doesn't
smart
have any
thinking.
dialogue in the game to fill us in on his motives. There is one NPC who does. Pizza Granny. She is just like Pizza Face.
yeah,
She's
Granny.
a pizza, she's got a face. She appears in the hub world before each level to
wonder
tell you
about
things
Granny.
like how
What
to
is
use your taunt
Granny?
to parry
Like,
projectiles.
guys, what is Granny? Is Granny like some, like, a robot maybe? Or maybe it actually is his grandma. Or his mom. I know.
Or how it's unfortunate that your name is Peppino Spaghetti. Usually her dialogue is short and snappy. She's basically just there as a
Yeah.
tutorial. But in one encounter in the Western District, she suddenly spouts off on this huge rant.
Oh,
the syntax is
yeah,
all
I
off, and
remember.
it's
She did
hard to
do
parse
this.
what exactly she's trying to say, but one nugget of information stands out among all the rest. Quote, in the upper part of the tower, there's this Pizza Face character. Then there's a man from your previous life
Okay.
leading the way. Since Pizza Head's the only one up there, it's not much of a stretch to figure out that he's the man from Peppino's past. But again, I ask, what
Yeah,
is
that
their
one's
actual
stretch.
backstory here? Why is Pizza Head out for revenge? Well, it all
Maybe
comes
because
back around, as it
Peppino
so
beat him
often
up before
does
in
to
the past.
FNAF. Specifically, the FNAF level
Yeah,
I keep
right.
mentioning, Don't Make a Sound. It's the second to last level of the game, which already places it in an important position. But what's really interesting about this one are all the lore clues that are sprinkled throughout the various background environments. The first
Yeah,
thing to
there's like
notice
a
is the
bunch of-
poster
yeah, I
that
see a
clearly
bunch of
indicates
posters.
Pizza Piz Pizza is going bankrupt, which could
Oh,
explain why all the
crap.
Pizza Boy cutouts were thrown down
That
into the sewers
explains.
throughout the slums map. So we know for a fact that Pizza Head's restaurant hit on hard times. We can also see in the storage room of the pizzeria that the dead body of a safety inspector is
Ooh,
hanging
dang,
from the
that's
ceiling,
probably not
trapped
gonna
by
be good
one of the
for
many
business, I
dangerous
imagine.
toys that are hidden away in boxes. That might be one good reason the restaurant hit on such hard financial times. Nothing
Oh,
says
Johnny's.
fallen profits quite like having a serious
What? Alright, let me put it back a little. Pizza spray, Johnny eats pizza, microwave pizza, cheese-clad bad fortune cookies, real toy shotgun. That's not probably good. Mr. Punchy, T fights back, do not punch Mr. Punchy, management, P-made balloon. No wonder this guy died. Look at all the dangerous toys. These toys suck.
Series of murders happening in your back rooms. Ain't that right, Willie? But it's the series of posters here that I really want to examine. The first one shows us the game's third boss, the Noise, used to be a mascot of Piz Pizza. Now, for a bit of context here, the Noise is a parody of Domino's mascot, the Noid, a character who's notorious for being one of the worst restaurant mascots in all of history. We actually recently did a food theory all about him and how he single-handedly caused a hostage situation at restaurants. So, if you haven't seen that video or aren't familiar with the character, check that one out after you're done here. But based on the photos that we see around the level, the Noise was a key part of Piz Pizza's marketing strategy. And apparently, he wasn't the only one. Over here, on some of the other posters, you can see a stretchy cheese slime.
The amazing
structure. Now, cheese slimes are a common enemy throughout the game,
guys,
so this
I'm
could be
gonna
a stretch.
spoil a future video, but there's gonna be
But I don't think that right there is just
about
any character. I suspect that slime, just like the Noise, is also a boss in the tower. Specifically, the boss of floor 2, the Vigilante. For proof, look at the eyes. Notice the pupils of the normal cheese slime versus the pupils of the Vigilante. The Vigilante has pinprick pupils, as opposed to the common enemies, which have more oblong pupils. Now look at the slime that's used in this poster. Pinprick eyes. Eyes that match the Vigilante. So, we have ourselves the second floor boss being a former mascot of the brand. The third floor boss being a former mascot of the brand.
What about the first floor? What about Pepperman?
Being Pizza Boy, the main face of the company.
What about the fourth floor?
I don't know about you, but I'm noticing a pattern here. And that pattern only continues as we look at more details in the level. You see, as we run through the remains of Piz Pizza, there are other familiar faces that start popping up. For instance, Peppino's chef friend Gustavo appears here multiple times.
He's in arcade.
First as a Gustavo marionette guiding us forward, but also as a character in an arcade cabinet. Why would he be here of all places? Why would there be merch and spin-off titles dedicated to him unless he also worked at Piz Pizza at some point? But even more suspicious, Peppino himself used to work at Piz Pizza as a mascot. Throughout the level, we see various arcade cabinets starring Peppino. Pizza Tower Defense, Pizza Tower Golf. But if there was any doubt, there's one poster that's hidden just out of view that shows Peppino chasing after the pizza gremlins Noise and Noisette. In other words, Peppino used to be a mascot of Piz Pizza 2. Every single one of these characters used to be a part of the Piz Pizza brand. They were all mascots or marketing characters or involved in the business in some way. They all have a shared history, with Pizza Head as the literal and figurative head of it all. But it seems like at some point, Peppino broke off from the others to make his own pizza business. I suspect that somehow, some way, that decision killed Piz Pizza. Hence why we see the company going bankrupt. Why do I think this? Well, in one of the other posters, we see Pacino, the Italian chef, an animatronic-like character that looks exactly like Peppino. And not only does he look like Peppino, if you get jump scared by one of the monsters in this level, you'll respawn as Pacino. That right there shows you that you and Pacino are meant to be one and the same. I think this was Piz Pizza trying to find a replacement for Peppino. When Peppino left to strike it out on his own, it left all the other characters high and dry. Suddenly, they were left with one of their star characters gone. So in a desperate bid to replace him, they tried puppets and robotics and marionettes, but none of them worked.
I think Gustavo left
as well. That's when they started getting really desperate. They started cloning Peppino. You see, once you reach the boss of the fourth floor, things in the game get real weird. If your theorist alarms weren't set off by anything else in this game, floor 4 should be putting them into high alert. It's here that we fight...
Oh yeah, we fight Peppino.
Peppino himself. Yep, we are fighting ourselves, or more accurately, a twisted clone version of ourselves. He's taller, his eyes popping out, and oh yeah, there's also literally dozens of them all attacking at once. He'll even throw his head at us when things get desperate. But why is there a clone of our character running around? Well, we actually see the lab where these clones get made in the final level of the game, simply titled War. In this level, you literally fight your way across a war-torn landscape with fighter planes and bombs in the air. It is weird. So much so that it prompted the fans to come up with their very own game theories, mostly centering around the idea that Peppino is actually a war vet. Now, McPig, the game's creator, did come out and debunk that theory on Discord, but then they also made some tweets that would imply that the theories might be true, so it feels like that whole thing is up for debate. All that, though, is neither here nor there. What I want to focus on is the background of some of the screens in this level. In them, we see copies of Peppino floating around in stasis tubes. What's it mean? It means that he's being cloned. But why? Well, the clue is given to us back during that fourth floor boss fight. Look at the background and notice what it says in the window. Peppino's Pizza 2. And that's not all. At the end of the fight, there's an extended horror chase sequence. If you manage to survive, you'll emerge on the other side and are suddenly standing out front of an old defunct building named Bruno Pizza. They're rebranding failed abandoned pizzerias as Peppino's. It's Pizza Head trying to make his own Peppino franchise. They're creating Peppino clones to steal away his business. Not because it's particularly successful or anything like that, but as repayment for Peppino's betrayal when he first left the the Piz Pizza family. So taking
I can
all of
see
these
that.
clues together, here's the final storyline that I've pieced together based on the clues hidden in the game. Piz Pizza was a highly successful company that would regularly roll out new mascots for marketing purposes to build up hype. The Noise, Noisette, Gustavo, Cheese Slimes, but at the top of the heap there was Pizza Boy, the literal face of the company. The Pizza Tower is his family home, as evidenced by the portraits that hang in the game's opening hallway. But of them all, there was one mascot who would rise to challenge the popularity of Pizza Boy, Peppino, a chef character who would get taunted and trolled by the Noise twins, a beleaguered everyman who made some pretty darn good pizza. When he was first introduced, his popularity took off, and Piz Pizza put him everywhere, including multiple spin-off arcade games. But eventually, Peppino wanted to move on, to strike it out on his own. He was popular enough, he could become his own solo act. This, to Pizza Head, a former child actor, was the ultimate betrayal. They were family. You don't just leave family. Desperate to replace him, Pizza Head and the rest of the crew created Pacino, an animatronic version of Peppino. It didn't work. Piz Pizza started to struggle. Meanwhile, things were doing okay for Peppino. Not great, but he was making enough to get by. Piz Pizza was still pulling in a lot of customers. It was his biggest competition. And so Peppino decided to play a little dirty. You see, because of the time that he spent working at the company, Peppino had one final ace up his sleeve. He knew the dangerous secrets that lurked in the back of Piz Pizza, the failed and deadly products that Pizza Head had tried to sweep under the rug. So Peppino called for an emergency health and safety inspection of the restaurant, hoping to get his competition shut down once and for all. Then his pizza company would be the last one standing. It would finally be able to thrive. Was he betraying his former co-workers? Sure, but this was business after all.
That means
the thing is,
this
plan worked. In fact, it worked a little bit too well. The health inspector came, got caught up in one of the dangerous backroom toys, and died. His pizza wasn't just slapped on the wrist with a low health score, it was suddenly hit with massive fines for safety violations. News spread of the death that had happened at Piz Pizza. This resulted in the business going bankrupt in a hurry, leaving all these characters like the Noise, the Vigilante, Noisette, all of them with no place to go except to linger on inside of Pizza Head's family tower, plotting some kind of revenge against the man who abandoned them and then sabotaged them. The Piz Pizza crew came up with wilder and wilder stories until finally landing on cloning. They created dozens of alternate Peppinos. This was no longer about getting business back, this was about revenge. This was about taking his business down along with them. This was war, a mutually assured destruction. They would put the clones into shoddy copycat pizzerias in low-income areas of the neighborhood to hurt the Peppino brand, and it worked. Peppino's original restaurant was crushed by the debt, and so there they all were, miserable, destroyed together, which meant it was the perfect time for Pizza Head to give Peppino a visit, to lure Peppino back to the tower and reunite the Piz Pizza family once again. To force Peppino to confront all these moments, these places, these characters from his past. And that is where the actual story of Pizza Tower begins, and where our story today ends.
One of these characters is the key to all the lore inside Roblox Forsaken. It could be you. Oh, no, you're dead. So I guess that means it's you. Oh, you're dead too. What about you? Quickly, start the episode so we don't lose the actual answer. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that isn't rolling in Robux, but it is rolling in lore. And we got another big one here for you today, folks. After our video on the Roblox game Dandy's World, our subreddit was flooded with other Roblox game suggestions that I should take a look at. And so after several
Cocktails? Oh, I should play that game. Dude, I was gonna play that game.
Other Roblox game suggestions that I should take a look at. And so after several hours of filtering through all of your suggestions, which I'm actually really thankful for, by the way, there was one game that kept coming up again and again, and it definitely piqued my interest. Forsaken. Forsaken is a multiplayer survival game, and it is a smorgasbord of who's who in Roblox history. On the killer side, you have both real Roblox hackers like Cool Kid and rumored hackers like John Doe and 1x1x1x1. And on the survivors team, you've got guys like Builderman, who is actually David Bazooki, the creator of Roblox. You have Shedletsky,
he's kind of got
Roblox admin, and Bazooki, the creator
he's got the controversial, guys. Do we blur his face or something? I don't know. It's finished. You wearing to blur his face.
You have Shedletsky, a well-known Roblox admin, and Elliot, who is the mascot for a Roblox game work at the Pizza Place, one of the first and most popular Roblox games. The survivor's goal is to run around the map, avoiding the killer until time runs out. And the killer's goal, well, you could probably figure out what their goal is. As a survivor, you can take time off the clock by playing little mini games that at first look like simple mobile games. However, you can
already got this website on. Slay its tie.
Take time off the clock by playing little mini games that at first look like simple mobile games. Believe me, when you're under the pressure of trying to finish it before a killer comes and gets you, it's a whole other kettle of fish.
You're not even
Try
that
for
good at the
yourselves.
puzzles.
This
I'm
goes
not
here, this goes here. But with all of that said, I'm sure many of you are seeing this and making connections between Forsaken and another very popular multiplayer survival game. One where an entity pulls in known serial killers from other horror franchises and sends them in to kill the survivors. Dead by Daylight. You might even be arguing that it's a complete ripoff.
Blocks by Daylight.
You'd be missing the most interesting part. In the lobby area, if you talk to one of the NPCs about what game you'd like to play, you can choose the answer, work at the pizza place. And when you do, he brings up this error message. Error code D8. Which seems odd, but I guess that's just what happens when you bother an NPC enough times. However, the more I looked around, the more I realized that this wasn't just a copycat Roblox game. This was an ARG. And it not only spans this game, but a bunch of Roblox profiles, secret games, and other games that at first don't even seem connected. Oh, Dress to Impress would be so proud. And all of this is to tell us a story about what happens when a person pursues power over everything else. Grab a slice of Elliot's Pizza Theorists, because we're gonna need all the help we can get solving the lore of Forsaken. As I've mentioned, all of this starts with the weird error code from one of the NPCs in the lobby. But that isn't the only weird detail in this lobby. In the upper room of the cabin, there is a TV. Clicking on it will reveal the message, your TV has shut down unexpectedly. Error code A2, forced shutdown. Why is an old school TV giving me a shutdown message? This is something you would get from a computer. If a TV like this shut down unexpectedly, it would just shut down, which tells us it's important. And would you take a look at that code it's given us? A2. It's a similar format to our previous code.
Oh wait, that makes more sense now.
Something puzzling this way comes, methinks. So let's keep searching. Except there doesn't really appear to be any other codes in the lobby. The only other thing I can see is this photo of the number 4 in one of the other cabins. Feels like a weird, possibly important detail, especially with the NPC standing over it claiming to be investigating it, but it doesn't fit our letter and number format. And outside of that, there just doesn't seem to be any other codes written down. Wait, that lantern,
there's to be a person there?
Flickering in the distance. Is that flickering just to fit the horror aesthetic? Or is it Morse code? Dash dot dash dot dot dash 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 dash. Write that down, write that down! That translates to C1, just like all the other codes we've found. Okay, we have 3, maybe 4 codes. Now what? Well, fortunately, there is a tape recorder next to the lantern that has a very important message for us. Escape this realm and take to heart the things you've learned from every part. In a club unknown, where secrets are sown, recite your tale in the depths alone. So, we need to take these codes and leave this realm, but you can't leave the lobby.
Actually, right now would probably not be a good time, I'm not gonna lie.
Escaping this realm means leaving Forsaken entirely. In which case, we need to figure out where exactly we go next, and what it means by a club unknown. Taking a page out of another Roblox ARG we've covered on this channel, Dress to Impress, let's check out the creators of Forsaken and see if they have any other games under their belts. One of the devs, they've made another game called Buckshot Frenzy. Basically, a Roblox version of Buckshot Roulette. I'm beginning to see a pattern here. Regardless, we've actually talked about Buckshot Roulette on this channel before too, and it takes place in a nightclub with the description of this game matching that, saying, step into the shadowy depths of a club non-liable. This is almost certainly the club unknown referred to by the tape recorder. And when we jump into the game, our suspicions are met with confirmation. On the wall are a set of paintings in a 2x2 grid with faint writing of the letters C, A, D, and question mark. Just
I remember this ARG got like I think retcon, I think?
Like the codes we found in Forsaken, C1, A2, and D8. That question mark may even be where the 4 painting we saw comes in. It didn't seem to fit with the format, but it's the only other code we've got, so we might as well try. If you click on each painting the corresponding amount of times to their number, click A2 times, C1 times, D8 times, and the question mark painting 4 times, nothing happens. Until I clicked the small plaque underneath the paintings, and doing that revealed a secret path. Secret tunnel! Secret tunnel! At the end of the hallway is a door, and when we knock, we get a message. A really, really long message.
That was very awkward.
I imagine it's important though, so I am gonna read all of it. But editor, we should probably crank up the speed a bit to get through it all in good time. Thank you. How did you get here? Are the rumors really true? You're trading on treacherous.
Nope, I'm seeing it up too.
My purpose is to help you find you seek, no matter how foolish it may be. Blind by reference, so one who dared to stray too close to the sun and pay the price. Still, in my foolishness, I am close. Something it never wants me to see. Something that forced it, put me in this unique kind of hell. I would give that something to use like you could have shown the endings madness as expected. It took back also. Yes, they pulled me into this prison. I called it a glimpse of how it walks the world around, altering very fabric of reality. It is not just the environment changes, but also you. Every step you take brings you closer to influence. To get in that influence, there may lie opportunities. If you could stand to touch along, even just for 5 minutes, then you may find the clues that leave behind pieces of itself that cannot harm. Know this, you must not hesitate when you find its trail. Follow it with purpose, but be wary of the distortions it creates. They are not what they seem and exist to reach. If you survive, then you will have done something that cannot be fate. Well, let us know no one else is foolish enough to try again. Good luck, travel. Good luck, goodbye. Boy, that's a lot to take in. It seems that we are being warned about the dangers of investigating the mysteries of Forsaken. The person who was speaking to us did the same, but when they uncovered something, it trapped them. So far, we have no clue what this it is, but as this game is basically Dead by Daylight, I would say it's an entity that is in control of these games. The one that brought us into the Forsaken games to torture us. We're also being told to try and withstand its pressure for 5 minutes. So I hop back into Forsaken and wait 5 minutes and nothing happens. Great. Now what am I supposed to do? I mean, I do have a bunch of other scripts I could get on with. I'm sure that would make Justin happy. I guess I'll just leave this running and see if anything changes. Well, would you look at that? Guess I needed to be tabbed out to see these messages. That's clever. Right, let's see what they say. You aren't alone here. Leaving is not an option. You can't escape me. A piece for the puzzle awaits you. That last one with all the words put together with no spaces, that doesn't look like a phrase. It looks like a Roblox user ID, just like we saw in Dress to Impress. And if we search that exact phrase in Roblox, we do indeed find an account with that username. A piece for the puzzle. Although apparently their actual name is Julius Caesar, though that isn't even the weirdest part. His about section is just nothing but random letters. Random letters if you're not a theorist. This is our good old friend Base64, and it translates to, this video is sponsored by Raccoon.
Yep, get to skip that part. Yep, do boo boo boo, magic doo doo doo. Alright.
Figure out what that code really means. It will not be easy to make me into your key, but it will be all right. You can do it. Make him into a key? Well, he is wearing a giant key on his shirt, so that's gotta be what he's referring to. Clicking on the clothing item to get some more information gives us yet another jumble of letters. Sadly, Base64 didn't work for us this time. But remember when I said he was called Julius Caesar?
Yep.
Well, if we want to care, absolutely too young to over 12 times, we get this. His name was David. He was
David Mizuki? He probably deserves this. I'm not gonna lie.
Young to be sentenced to such a painful eternity, but it did not care. It only wanted more power. This basically confirms that the it is absolutely the entity running this game, similar to the entity from Dead by Daylight, taking people and bringing them into Forsaken to torture them for eternity. But with that piece of the puzzle solved, we should probably take a closer look around the page to see if there's anything more. His friend list, for example, looks suspiciously interesting. He has just one friend. Big mood on that one. But that one person is called Not a Piece to the Puzzle, aka Do Not Listen to Me. His about section talks about Julius Caesar, not the character we've talked about, but the real historical figure, and how he used to deceive people. They tell us that relying on Julius Caesar may be fruitful, but we should not trust him. Only use him to reach our goals. This isn't just about the historical figure. Maybe this is a warning that the Julius Caesar character in this ARG isn't trustworthy, and that we should be careful going forward. This account page also has a game of its own called A Piece to the Puzzle's Place. You can try playing this game, but it starts with the question, what is its name? Let me try my name. No. What about Julius? No. David? No. My guess is it is the entity, but we don't have an answer for that, and I'm not entirely sure where to find it. Wait a minute. The title of this game is A Piece to the Puzzle. The account that made it is called Not A Piece to the Puzzle. Does that mean that A Piece to the Puzzle is another account? Let's just have a look. Bingo!
I can't believe it.
We can find some answers here. There is a long story in this account's bio talking about him falling into depression and what happens when this game's entity drags you into Forsaken. But the main clue is at the bottom, where we can find yet another code. When shifted by 12, it says numbers to user ID is how you get your key. Okay, maybe we put the user IDs into the game. Nope, that didn't work either. So this is likely a key to something else that we're gonna need to search for next. Down in this guy's favorite section is a private game called A Message. We can't play the game because, well, it's private, but it does have another detailed description, and given this is an ARG, that is obviously way more fun. It continues the story from the About section, how the entity put this person through, quote, the games of hell. They mention a guy in a hockey mask killing them, and that they caught a break in a beachside forest. Clearly, Jason in Forsaken and the beachside forest in the lobby. Whoever this guy is, he's trying to tell us about this world, how they got in, and maybe how they can help us and everyone else trapped here get out.
So this game could
at the bottom of the message, there are some numbers.
This game has
such a user ID. 774.
Let me pause real quick. This game could be like a scary horror game. I'm not gonna lie. The atmosphere has the potential to, but it's not really that scary, bro. It's so memeable.
9074101, or as they're actually known, Friday_TQIMEFKXQD. And this is where the story of our trapped friend comes to an end. They grew numb to the torment, and so the entity tore this person apart. It was then that they began to study this entity, naming it the Spectre. So we now have our name for the entity, and we also got something else.
Doesn't
you may have noticed the account name. It's a little.
I'll tell you guys at the end of the video.
The user just wanted the account name Friday, and Roblox was like, Friday has already been taken. May I suggest Friday_TQIMEFKXQD? But what's more likely is those jumbled up letters are just another cipher. So going back to our trusty Caesar cipher and shifting the letters by 14, we get the phrase, he was Tyler. The name of the person that was dragged down into Forsaken, tortured, and then ceased to exist was Tyler. And based on what he left at the bottom, Tyler has been here for 200 years.
200 years? Are you sure about that, pal? Are you sure? I wouldn't say it. I can see why if the lore really did get retconned, I can see why.
I have a feeling we can now answer the questions in a piece to the puzzle's place. What is its name? We now know it's Spectre.
How would Jason be here for 200
answering
years?
that, we get some more questions about the Spectre. The next question is, what is it made of? And we don't really have an answer for this, but I do not have the energy to go on another scavenger hunt, so instead, let's turn to the thing I always do in times of need during an ARG. The community that is so smart, they figured it out already. All the links will be in the description. These guys figured out that the answer is the word code, which I guess makes sense. The Spectre is part of a Roblox game, and so is code. Plus, the killers of this game, besides Jason, are all Roblox hackers. And what the hackers work in? Code. The next question is, what does it seek? Which we know from Julius Caesar's account is power. Next,
why are they adding so much hackers?
Tyler. Who was he? What did he call the trials? How long has he been here? Again, all stuff we learnt about during our adventures. His name was Tyler, they were games of hell, and he was there for 200 years. But then we get asked some personal questions, like, do we feel safe? Do we know what we're getting ourselves into? And the final question, will we keep searching, even though it's foolish? Being the theorists that we are, naturally the answer is yes. And that gives us one more code. Although this time, we're actually given a hint as to how we're supposed to solve it. Numbers lead where letters stray. A shifting cipher guides the way. A sibling to Caesar, clear yet sigh. What is my name? Give it a try. A sibling to Caesar. So a cipher that works similarly to a Caesar cipher. A Caesar cipher is just a shift in letters, so we need another cipher that shifts letters. A Vigenère cipher is similar in how a keyword can be used to tell the cipher how to shift, but that would require a keyword. It asks us what is his name, so we could put not a piece to the puzzle, but that comes up empty. And then there's numbers lead where letters stray. Does that mean the key isn't a word, but a number? That would mean it's not a Vigenère cipher, it's a Gronsfeld cipher. Wait, remember that other clue we got? Numbers to user ID is how you get your key? We didn't need the name of not a piece to the puzzle, the person who made the quiz. We needed his ID number, and that would make the key. Nice job. Love it when all the pieces come together. So we put not a piece to the puzzle, ID number as the key to the Gronsfeld cipher, and we're in. Wash your hands on the second floor. Blue means 1, red means 2, brighter shades increase the value by 2. How incredibly vague and cryptic. Not exactly sure what I was expecting at this point, but still. There's also no obvious place to wash your hands in Forsaken.
I don't know if you read your Bible, but I'm afraid it's damnation without relief.
But there was somewhere else we visited
Fair
that
enough.
does have sinks. Buckshot Frenzy. If you die in one of the games, you wake up in the bathrooms of that floor. So die on level 2, go to wash your hands, and on each sink, the tap will have hot and cold circles on them. The code we have was that blue means 1
that
and
makes
red
more
means
sense
2.
now.
Some of them have lighter shades of blue or red, which means we increase the value to 3 or 4, which gives us the final code of 14321232. So what do we do with this? Well, if we backtrack
Exactly,
through our
makes no
journey a
sense.
bit, we can see that a piece of the puzzle wasn't the only person with a game. Julius Caesar also has a game creatively titled A Piece for the Puzzle's Place. Just like the previous quote-unquote game, we are met with a text box that asks us to enter a code. The code we
Actually,
just
it says
got
color
from
key,
the
actually.
Buckshot sinks. Entering that code lets us play 2 files. One is just the victory music from Forsaken, and the other is a message called
There's victory music in Forsaken? No.
Congratulations.ogg.
Hey, if you're hearing this, then good job. This is kind of where the trail ends for now. Maybe come back in a few months, maybe like February.
So I guess here is where the Forsaken ARG ends, for now at least. Although it is April and there is still no update. Knowing my luck, the update will drop right as this video does. However, just because the ARG is done doesn't mean that I am. There's still one thing I have yet to decode.
Oh, crap.
After our quiz, we got that long code that we decoded with the Gronsfeld cipher. But there was a separate code at the end that the Gronsfeld cipher couldn't translate. It does translate, though, when you put it through a standard Caesar cipher. He was
Elliot?
He was Tyler being the code given at the end of Tyler's long story. And with this coming at the end of the quiz, that would imply that Elliot is the one questioning us with this quiz. But Elliot isn't just any old name. It's the name of one of the
name is a
survivors
survivor.
you can
Oh
play
my
as.
goodness,
Irony
that
isn't just any
two
old
times
name. It's
old
the name
render.
of
Bruh.
one of the survivors you can play as. I would be surprised if the devs used this name twice. It would just make things really confusing, which means the survivor Elliot is somehow involved in this wider story. And I think I know how, because this quiz isn't actually the first time we've spoken to him. At the beginning of this ARG, we had a very long message of how someone became trapped after being foolish and getting too close. They used the word foolish again near the end of the speech, hoping that no one else will look deeper into the entity. And what do we see in this quiz? The one we believe to be Elliot speaking to us? The last question asks, will you continue searching even though you know
The mystery
how
solved.
that is? It's the same language.
I can't
Elliot
believe
warned
it.
us about going down this path of trying to discover the entity, and at multiple points is warning us about how foolish it is. But he also gave us
Foolish
one
it
other
is.
warning. During his massive monologue, he references a Greek myth. I guess that's just part of the new indie horror checklist these days. Specifically, he talks about flying too close to the sun, which is a reference to Icarus doing the same thing with his wax wings. But he also talks about being locked away by the entity in a unique kind of hell for stealing something. That reminded me of another
Wait, Elliot's
Greek
evil?
myth, a myth about a god who betrayed Zeus during the war against
Nah,
the Titans.
no way
And as a
Elliot's
result, they were stripped of their wings and sent to Tartarus, the underworld where the god's enemies were tortured. That god's name was Ark, and they were a messenger god, just like Elliot is delivering messages to us to help guide us against the godlike being of this world, the Spectre, now locked away in a torturous type of hell. However, in that story, there are actually 2 messenger gods, Ark and their sibling, Iris. Iris remains sided with the gods, and actually has a plant
Well, of
named
course
after
they're
them,
blurred.
Siberian
Of course,
Iris,
Greek
which has a
artist has to do that.
suspicious nickname, Brother of Caesar.
The Greek
Caesar's
artist, of course.
sibling, just like we were shown in the ARG. If Elliot is the one who went against the god of this world, the Spectre, then whoever is playing the role of Iris, they are still sided with the godlike being Spectre. And we actually have a second messenger in our game, a second person giving us info that claims to be on the side of
Okay.
Tyler. We have been trusting Tyler and using his information to get closer to solving this ARG, but I suspect
guess he did give us
will
the
not
actual
be able to
names.
see
Fair
us.
enough.
So when the ARG
Why, of course
returns,
he
be
probably
careful
did.
how much you listen to him, because if I'm right, he's gonna keep sending us down this rabbit hole until we, like him, are going to be stuck in a constant cycle of torture. Or the ARG will never update and I'll be stuck in a different cycle of torture, not getting any more lore, and that is arguably much worse. But hey, that's just
What's up, guys? Today we're going to react to Danny's World Theory, even though I haven't played the game. Or technically I did. I just Don't know how to play it. Anyways, let's start the video.
Here we go.
Roblox is at it again. Move over, doors. There's a new horror game in town that's taking the internet and our subreddit by storm, and its name is Dandy's World. But don't trust
Mamma
that
mia.
smile for a minute, friends, because behind it is a sad and broken character who ruined the lives of his friends, his creators, and the very studio we're exploring.
Bruh.
Hello, internet.
Here we go,
Welcome
guys.
to
Here we
Game Theory,
go.
the show that just can't get enough black goo. Think about it. Bendy,
Black goo? How do you
Doors,
make-
Welcome Home, Bob Mod, FNAF, all of them have a black goopy thing that leads to one thing. Oh, we should probably just plug it into my veins at this point. But alas, HR won't let me do it. And given
Gosh
it's
darn
been
it.
a while since my last black goopy hit, when I saw our subreddit blowing up with a game called Dandy's World that also had its own black goo, I was very excited to gobble up whatever
Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. Take a jump
on
over
the
that.
surface, Dandy's World is a multiplayer survival horror game on Roblox. The game itself takes place in an abandoned educational center and museum called the Garden View
Oh,
Center.
okay,
We play as
okay.
these little creatures known as toons. Our job is to hop into the
If
elevator
you already
with
know this
some
part,
friends and
yeah.
complete
I'm gonna skip it a little bit. Skippity
to
thing.
unlock even more toons. The deeper we go, the more we start to get a sense of what happened
Yeah,
to this
yeah.
place once filled with the sounds of children's laughter and joy. What happened to this beloved place to shutter its doors, and why it has suddenly come back to life with evil versions of the toons known as
spooky.
Twisted. So are trying desperately to
Twisted
stop us, dripping
Toons?
with that
That's kinda
delightful
matches the
black
let's say letter
goo.
T.
There it is. Nom, 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 nom.
Hey,
Oh,
what?
that's the good stuff. So, step into the elevator, loyal theorists, because we're
Huh?
gonna get to the bottom of what's really going on in
That was very
Dandy's
weird.
World and its
Anyways.
smiling rainbow flower mascot. The history of the Garden
Yep,
View
here we
Center
go.
actually
Not
starts
again.
with this
Not
note
again.
that you can find if you don't die to the various Twisteds
Who the heck
chasing
is
you around the
Alpha?
various floors. It's an
the heck
application
is
for a
that?
business loan dated 1984. From this, we can see that the Garden View Center is the brainchild of two young
Mamma
visionaries, Henry
mia.
Stein and Joey Drew. Wait, no,
Bruh.
I meant Delilah Keene and Arthur Walton. Although the connections between these two and Bendy definitely keep going. Thanks to a note sketched out by
Mamma mia.
Arthur, we can tell that he was the one who originally designed the look of the toons. As for Delilah, she was a bit more sus. After seeing the sketch of the lead character Dandy, she writes back to Arthur saying,
What about the others? You said he had friends, yes? I'll need them. Respond ASAP. By the way, out of coffee. Get more. Also ASAP.
Uh-oh.
If she's anything like me without my morning coffee, things are about to get real bad. Even worse if she's like Santi. But despite the clearly ominous language, Arthur doesn't seem phased, saying,
You've never failed me before, Delilah.
Then, in a recent update, the developers
is
added
not
these
feel
portraits
good.
of Garden View's two founders. Arthur is dressed to the nines. I tip my hat to you, sir. And Delilah is covered in black goo.
Wow,
See, Arthur,
wow,
this is how
wow.
it starts. And then you decide to leave, and your business partner creates an inky dimension inside their apartment, which is meant to house an inky version of you that they can torture for all eternity. It's a tale as old as time. Although this black goo is a little different to the
Okay.
living ink from Bendy. It's called ichor. And not only can we find this black goo all over the place during the game, but when you get caught by a Twisted, your toon explodes into the stuff. It's almost like
Huh?
the Roblox PG safe version of blood. And the name certainly lends itself to that line of thinking. Ichor isn't just a made-up word. It comes from what is very quickly becoming my favorite thing to talk
Yeah,
about on
yeah,
this
yeah,
channel.
Greek
Say it with me now.
mythology.
Greek mythology. I wonder
It's
why
all
there's so much of this in
from
indie
last
horror
video.
these days. It's
Mamma
probably a
mia.
theory for
I thought it
another
was
day.
Greek
So make sure you
mythology or
ink
something
splat
like
that
that.
subscribe button like your life depends on it, because it just might. Anyway, the
Alright, that's a little bit creepy.
ancient Greeks believed that instead of having blood
Spooky.
coursing through their veins, ichor is just the blood of the toons. Oh no, my friends, there is a lot more going on here. Because ichor is also this game's form of currency. We collect more and more of this stuff as
It's
we
kind of weird, actually. If you think about it, they're using their own blood as, like, currency. Like, imagine us humans. We, like, took our blood and then sold it as currency. can already do that, actually. Never mind.
descend further
This is
into
not
the levels of
weird.
the Garden View Center. But what do we use this precious iCore to purchase? More tunes to play as from Dandy's shop. Almost as
Or
if
tune
iCore isn't
license,
just the
actually.
blood that's coursing through them, but it's actually what is used to make the tunes. And given the notes and photos we found from earlier,
No
while
crap,
Arthur
Sherlock.
was the one who originally designed the tunes, it was Delilah who brought them to life using the iCore. I guess it really is just the ink machine after all. And similarly, it has an unfortunate side effect. You see, as you play and encounter more of the twisted tunes, you unlock research that gives you more lore about each character. Several of the research entries mention that it's the iCore, and more specifically being overcome by iCore, that turns these happy-go-lucky tunes
So
into
imagine us, we had like too much blood and we turned into like weird blood human machine blood bags, something like that. Well, we're not machines, we're organic. I wonder how that would be. I wonder.
the twisted monsters they are now. That also
wonder if we
explains why all of the twisteds can be seen with iCore pouring out of every orifice. They
Why
are
are their eyes
literally
red,
so
though?
full of the stuff, it's leaking out of them. So then, if this
Wonder
stuff
why
is
their eyes
so
are red.
volatile, why make tunes to begin with? As I mentioned, Arthur and Delilah get their loan in 1984, and from there, they set up the Garden View Centre as a
1984?
children's educational
Old.
centre and museum. What it was a museum of back in 1984 is unclear exactly, but based on 2 Polaroid photos dated 1988, what is clear is that these characters were originally designed as a selling point for the
These
centre.
characters are
Unlike
old.
other attractions, the Garden View Centre didn't have just people in mascot costumes
Mamma
or cuddly
mia, I'm actually being a
animatronics.
hypocrite,
They
am
had
I?
living,
Yeah, being a
breathing
hypocrite.
versions of the
Shut
tunes that
up,
kids could
guys.
come and
Don't talk
meet.
to me.
We all know how well that goes. Although it appears as time went on, these characters became popular beyond just the centre. Despite this place looking abandoned,
Wow,
for years,
so
there are
cool.
a bunch of posters still lining the walls that give us some interesting details. First off, they made me realise that my
here we go.
open
Yep.
office will automatically apply your code at checkout. Thanks again to Display for sponsoring this video. It's probably
Yeah,
about time
yeah,
we get
I
back
don't
to
care.
lining the walls of the Garden View Centre. In every corner of the Garden View Centre, there are CRTs playing a TV show full of lovable tunes who might look a little familiar. There are also posters of the different episodes
Hey.
of this show, along with the dates.
Yo,
they
I'm not
originally
gonna
aired,
lie,
hung up
unlocking
on the
tunes
many
looks
walls
a
of the
bit
building.
tedious.
This show is Dandy's World, and the earliest date we see for the show is for the episode Snowy Adventure, which aired on Christmas 1990, 2 years after the
Mamma
earliest date we
mia.
know these tunes to have existed. The Garden View characters became so popular that they eventually created a show. The show wasn't just about the many adventures of Garden View, though. If you
Were these
take a
actual
look around the
animations
place,
in
you can
the
actually find
game?
storyboards for the show. If you don't know, storyboards are essentially what TV, movies, and even gaming studios will use to plan out a sequence of events and the shots that they will need to capture or draw for any given project. Meaning that this show was actively being worked
Imagine
on
they make a
here
real-life
at
Dandy
the
World
Garden
show.
View Centre. This wasn't just a place where kids could come to learn and play. It was also a TV studio. And as I realized that, I couldn't help but be reminded of a certain other TV studio slash theme park from the real. As the TV show are definitely cartoons, the characters themselves are toons. And they talk as if these events were real events that really happened.
Huh?
For example, one of the episodes of the Dandy's World TV show was called Winning Big, and it features a toon named Scraps on a game show, well, Winning Big, with the show being hosted by another toon, V. But despite this presumably happening on a fictional TV show, the actual V and Scraps have memories of this event. In one of the dialogues that can happen
Oh, they're like
among the
cartoon
characters
incarnates,
between levels, V
basically.
and Scraps
Cartoon
say
incarnates.
this.
Hey V, you're not mad at me for winning all of your game show prizes, right, V? I'm gonna take that as a yes.
In another set of dialogue, V claims
Mamma
Scraps'
mia.
victory on the game show was down to pure luck. It doesn't really make much sense that V would be so salty about what happened on a TV show about
I
her.
feel so
Instead,
stressed.
it's more likely that she is mad because it really happened. These tunes are more than just live action characters for the kids to meet. They were the performers that
I can't
starred
believe
in
it.
the
They're
show.
real.
And those kids who were touring the center would have the chance to watch the show being recorded live. And I use the word would have very specifically. The show was a massive success. We know that by 1990, Dandy's World was on the air and ran for over a decade. But as with all
I can't
the horror
believe it.
histories, the winning streak couldn't last forever. The final episode of the show was planned for July 21st, 2002. But from what we
2002?
can tell, it never
Old.
actually made it to air because according to the city newspaper, on June 24th, 2002, the Garden View Centre closed its doors. The last aired episode we
Gosh
know
darn
about
it.
was from 2001, which is another reason why I feel like Dandy's World was
Just
being
gonna animate it
produced as
in,
a
that's
live
it.
action production. If there was just another animated cartoon, we'd likely see remnants of the show still going on, but as it stands, the show stopped at the same time the studio did. However, compared to Nick Studios' closure being due to the heavy shift in animation and the increase in shows needing to be filmed in Los Angeles, Garden View's closure was a little more mysterious. According to that same
Well,
newspaper,
look
it
we
was
have
shut down
here.
due to a quote malfunction incident, which, as we all know, is indie horror
Well,
corporate
well.
speak for our creation turned on us and tried to kill everyone. It's even more suspicious.
Gosh
when the
darn it,
creator,
not
Arthur,
again.
was asked to comment and chose to remain silent, especially.
Oh,
when
come on,
behind the
buddy.
scenes,
Now I
he
look
makes
more
it
sus.
abundantly clear that he knew exactly what was going on. He writes in a letter to his longtime business partner Delilah.
Delilah, we need to talk. I know you've kept reassuring me that what had happened wasn't due to anything you had done. You had to have known this could happen to him. If you did,
Oh,
why
come
didn't you
on
tell me?
now.
Why didn't you tell me? Something like this doesn't just happen.
That him that Arthur is referring to, the one that something happened to, the
Yeah, I
one
already
that
know it's Dandy.
malfunctioned, I believe, is none
I
other
can't
than the
believe it,
star of
Dandy's
the
evil.
show, our titular flower, Dandy. Let me explain.
I
Ever
knew it,
since
Dandy
Garden
was
View
evil.
Center closed down, several of the other toons have talked about how uneasy they feel around him. And we don't have to take their word for it. We can see it for ourselves in-game. In between levels, Dandy pops up in the elevator to sell you power-ups to make your run easier. But if you instead choose to not buy from him, Dandy starts to get more and more frustrated. If you continue to ignore him, things become less fine and dandy, and he'll have
Like,
a
fine and
full-blown
dandy?
meltdown. He will turn into his twisted form, and you'd better watch out because he'll soon spawn on an upcoming level to hunt you down. Dandy is a loose cannon, ready to snap at any moment if he doesn't get his
That
way.
sounds actually kind of cool, though. I'm not gonna lie. No, dude, well, that design actually looks kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Based on my years of indie horror experience, my hunch is that this is what happened on the day of the malfunction. Dandy was the first
I can't believe
creation,
it.
Arthur's main guy, but unlike the others, we're being shown that he can transform into a Twisted rather than just
Bruh.
being a Twisted, which lines up with the idea that this mascot malfunctioned, transforming into a Twisted and created an incident that got the entire place shut down. And that hunch proved to be correct when I found his research data.
How does he not overload with Vicor, actually? It kind of makes no sense. Can you, like, not overload with Vicor? Oh, doesn't matter.
Quote, the star of the show, the one who runs the I-Core operation. It's all his fault. Everything
Gosh
we're
darn it.
experiencing, the abandoned studio taken over by monsters, the studio shutting down leading to this point, it's all Dandy's fault. However,
Dandy,
the
what the heck
reason
is
for
wrong with you,
Dandy's
buddy?
snap isn't quite as simple as you might think. With Dandy being the primary mascot in a mascot horror game, it would be easy to just assume he's purely evil. Maybe the fame got to him. Maybe he cracked under the pressure.
cracked
but
a lot. Of
eventually
course
was
fame got to
overcome
him.
by
He's
the
the main
power of the
character.
I-Core and became pure evil. But that isn't the case. There's a little bit of audio storytelling.
Wonder if
that
there's,
you
like, a
might have
villain
missed while
in
playing
Dandy's
through the
world,
game
like,
yourself. When
big
Twisted
evil
Dandy chases
villain.
you in game, a song plays that you've
Look
no
up the
doubt
chat.
heard before, but probably never knew the name of.
Ooh, my ears. Ooh, I heard of that before. Pretty sure.
This song is called Claire de Lune, and it's based off an 1869 poem by Paul Verlaine. A poem about someone who looks happy on the outside, but deep down is sad. Quote, playing the lute and dancing and all, but sad beneath their fantasy disguises. This song is telling us what Dandy and also
that's
his
cool.
friends are. They are these picture-perfect, happy, smiling toons performing for the joy of others, but deep down, they're sad. And they're sad
Let me
because
guess,
of
you're getting
what we saw
abused.
during the Christmas update last year. According to another set of letters, after Christmas had passed, some of the Christmas-themed toons were doing the whole Blair Witch thing and hiding in the corner. Delilah's response was basically, Christmas is over, just throw them into storage till next year. Even though
Well,
the
that's
toons
dark.
are alive, they were being abused by their handlers and treated like props. Only good for the thing they were made for and nothing else. Behind their smiles were sad and lonely creatures. Dandy's dialogue when he thinks you're ignoring him at the shop matches this.
We're friends here, right? Friend? What is happening?
He's confused, he's scared, he is terrified that he too has lived past his usefulness. That if he is no longer the star, that he and his friends face the same fate as those Christmas toons. And my guess is, that's exactly what happened on that fateful day in 2001. Dandy saw how his friends were being treated. He got scared. He didn't want to be ignored, to be forgotten, to no longer be the star. And as a result, he became overcome by the I-Core and ultimately caused all the toons tunes to be locked away forever, a self-fulfilling
Yeah,
prophecy.
buddy, that was
That's
not a
why,
smart
as his
idea, I'm not
research
gonna lie.
report says, he has restarted the iCore project. It's not because
Gosh
he's trying
darn
to
it.
build an army of evil toons to take over the world or to enact his revenge on those who wronged him. He's trying to atone for his sins. He and his friends lost everything, and it's all his
Excuse you.
fault. Now he's trying to bring the show back to life. He specifically keeps asking you to find and collect and give him the VHS tapes of the show, and he's using the iCore to create
How many tapes
more
are there?
tunes. Maybe, just maybe, if all the tunes come back, so too will the fans, the kids, the show, and Dandy can once again be the star he was literally born to be. But he is not the original creator. He's not Delilah. He doesn't know how to use the iCore properly. He's using too much, and so all of his toon friends are ending up as
So that's
twisted
why
monsters.
they're
But
evil.
hey, that's just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching.
World premiere on Game Theory.
Seek's rise from random entity to final.
Well, guys, that's the end of the Fury. Wait, what? Oops, no, we're not watching it. We're not watching that. I mean, we can watch it next time, but otherwise, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.